Hey everybody, welcome back to the internet. I'm pretty sleepy, so hopefully I can stay awake long enough to read these stories tonight. Entitled Beep thinks that she can get away with assaulting an employee. Turns out she's very wrong about that. So I'm one of the shift managers at a well-known and well-loved fast food establishment. We are famed for having some of the hardest working and most respectful employees in the industry. As a manager on duty, I make sure my employees know that I have their back. That brings us to today. So today had been rather uneventful. The occasional spill here or there, someone got the wrong thing on their order, etc. Most customers love us and understand when we mess up. We always make sure to make it right, no matter if it costs us a few bucks or 50. Cue the entitled lady. Now, I was in the manager's office, looking over some catering orders due for that day. For some reason, it seemed like the entire city of LA decided today was a fantastic day to order all the food in the house. No matter what, it's good money. I was in the middle of trying to call someone in to get the back of house some relief from all the massive orders they now had to make. My awesome employee comes in and tells me that someone's at the front counter and wants to talk to me. I hang up the call and head to the front. There, I met this entitled lady and her monster child who won't stop screaming. She says, "Your employee tried to scam us. I ordered a large ice cream cone and he gave us a small." The new guy looks petrified and isn't saying anything. Not wanting this interaction to continue, I say, "I'm sure it was an honest mistake. We'll fix that for you right away." The new guy immediately nods his head and heads to the ice cream machine. She scoffs. "An honest mistake, huh? Your honest mistake made my child cry. I demand you make the ice cream free." I say, "Ma'am, I can either give you a refund or remake the ice cream. Your choice." She says, "What? How dare you? You really expect me to pay for it after your employee made a mistake?" I say, "With all due respect, it seemed like you already ate the other one. Besides, at this point, there isn't any proof that the mistake was made in the first place. We'll replace your ice cream or issue a refund." The nice guy's walking back with the cone at this point. The lady's previously enraged demeanor quickly changed to an almost creepy sweetness. "Okay, I'll take the cone. Thank you so much." I sense something off here, so I linger in the area. My spidey senses were on. The new guy presented the lady with the cone. As soon as he turns his back, I saw the lady ready herself to throw the cone right at the new guy. Luckily, my reflexes were fast enough to slap the cone right out of midair, into one of our soda machines. I internally cringed, knowing we'd have to do an extensive cleaning on that later. Not wasting time, I immediately turned to the lady. "Leave this restaurant right now." She says, "But..." "Now. If you ever come back here, you will be turned away without question." She gathers her child, who is now screaming even louder. She says, "Your food sucks anyway. I hope you go under." I decide escalating the situation would be pointless, so I just keep an eye on her until I can see the car driving down the street. I capture an image from the security footage to put in our Do Not Serve list. The new guy was shaken up, but insisted that he was fine working. I gave him a 30-minute paid break so he can calm his nerves. This occurred all of 2 hours ago at this point, and my blood is still boiling. Well, what do you do when you have a traumatic experience that just makes your blood boil? Well, you just go onto Reddit so that everybody can enjoy the story. My petty revenge as a child. So I think I was 8 or 9 years old when I did this. My family, along with a whole bunch of relatives, had gathered at my aunt's house. This included several cousins who were older than me. 2 of my cousins, they were brother and sister, were always particularly mean to me. One day, my girl cousin and I got into an argument. I don't even remember what it was about, and she tore up the drawing I was working on. I was enraged and slapped her. Cousin went crying to her mommy and told her that I'd hit her. I tried to explain that she had torn my drawing to pieces, even showed it to her, but nobody would listen to me. I was forced to apologize to her. Now, my aunt's house had a common play area for the kids, where they kept all their toys. The visiting kids' toys were also kept there. My cousin and her brother had several jigsaw puzzles that they loved to show off, but never let anyone touch. So that night, I lay awake in my bed till I was sure that everyone had fallen asleep, and then I snuck into the play area. I quietly opened up each box of puzzles and took out just one piece from each of them. I put everything back exactly the way it was, hid the puzzle pieces in my bag, and went to sleep. The next day, I buried the puzzle pieces in the woods behind my house, so no one could find them. My crime wasn't discovered while we were there, because said cousins and her family left prematurely for some reason. However, about a week later, when we went back in our house, I heard my grandmother talking to a cousin's mom on the phone, and telling my dad about her conversation. Apparently, my cousins had been throwing temper tantrums because they were unable to solve their jigsaw puzzles. I wonder why. Oh man, you take out one piece of the puzzle and it just ruins the whole thing. Man, those kids' whole weeks must have been ruined. Now we've got, want to cut my pay? Cut your business. So this happened around 2008, when the economy went down hard. I was working in a small electric and computer lab, where we built some very high-end video computing product. I was assistant manager in the computer lab because I was the most experienced guy in the lab. Basically, there was no problem I didn't see before and couldn't solve, while the rest of my crew were beginners. The economy went down hard, but this business didn't suffer much. There are not that many people who know how to handle dedicated hardware in a dedicated field, so we were not worried about our job. However, our Richard, CEO, thought it was a great opportunity to save some money. First, he fired almost all my crew, leaving me with one guy only to handle all the work. Second, he announces a 20% cut in work time, which means 20% cut in pay. He gave us this offer. You can work 7.5 hours a day instead of the 9 hours in our contract, or skip 1 day a week. My crew member agreed to cut the daily hours. I, however, decided to cut the day. One thing he neglected to decide is which day I cut. I did ask him, but he just said, "You choose." So I figured it's my decision now. And I decided to take the last day from this week, and the first day from next week, getting me a long 4-day weekend every 2 weeks. Great. It worked nice for a month. My pay was reduced, but I had a lot of free time, and I had already started using this free time to improve myself. First thing, look for another job. So at the end of the second month, the boss noticed something odd. The new guy got a call to solve a problem at Thursday, and he couldn't figure it out until Monday noon. A long time for a problem to be solved, and the client was not happy. He called my crew in and asked him why the delay, and the guy said he couldn't fix it, and I wasn't available to fix it until Monday. So I get called in. First things first, why am I not available on my days off? Simple, I don't get paid for that, so screw you. Second, why the long weekend? Well, I explained to him that he gave me the authority to decide, and that is my decision. The boss man was pissed. He tried to F me over and found he got screwed back. He claimed it's not right and that I should change the days back and be available while I'm not at work. I asked him if that's a management decision, because if it is, it's 3 strikes against me, and I'm entitled to a month's salary and full compensation, which at the time was worth another 6 months' salary. He understood that he was royally effed by me and withdrew his decision. He didn't give me my day back, so I continued looking, and by the end of the month I gave my notice. In my notice, I specifically stated the pay cut as my reason to leave, and with the other argument I constantly had with him the last month. Demanded 6 months compensation, as per my contract. The boss man refused to budge, but I sent him a formal letter threatening to sue him. He tried to make things right again and finally offered my day back. But too late, I already had another job with better pay and a better boss. At the end of the month, I finally left. My last crew member was promoted to assistant manager instead of me, but they didn't give him the pay raise. He was pissed, and being a better man than me, he quit after only a month and opened his own business, directly compete the old boss. His main target was to harm the old boss and succeeded very well. His business grew and he makes good money now, while the old boss had to pick up the pieces of his business, now unable to serve his clients. It got a major hit. Last time I checked, he closed the computers lab and shrank the business from 10 people to 3. 2 of them are sales rep. Don't get cheap on your best employee, it will destroy your business. You know, we've been getting quite a few stories lately of underappreciated employees who really like to stick it to their bosses who think they're not worth anything. I guess just because you're in charge doesn't mean you don't need the people underneath you. Alright, we've got one more story because we got a pretty fun question. I do actually work here, sir. So pretty short one, but I thought it was amusing. So 2 or 3 years ago, I was a revenue office assistant at a major Midwest zoo. One of my jobs was to, once or twice a week, go around to all the vending machines in the zoo, remove the bills, replace any change that was running low, and make a note of products that were out. Usually I'd be driven to each location by a security officer with a golf cart, due to not wanting to make miles around a massive zoo alone with a bag full of money. Not to mention, it was often super hot out, and not having to walk around in restrictive dress pants in 100+ degree heat was a blessing. Plus, most of the security staff were pretty cool, and I liked hanging out with them if I could. It was a fairly busy day at the zoo, and I was being driven to one of those really far away machines by my favorite security guard. We passed a few people on the path, and he dropped me off at the machine so I could get to work. I pulled out my keys to start opening the exterior door of the vending machine, as the people we passed caught up to us. I hear the guy say to his wife, "Oh look, she's special." Then louder to me, "Well, aren't you special?" I shot him a confused look and kept working. "You get to be escorted just to get a soda." His wife kinda tugged on his sleeve and mumbled, "Honey, I think she works here." But he didn't care. He was ready to go off on me. I unlocked the first lock and went to unlock the second. "Don't we all wish we could have our own cop to..." I finished unlocking the door and swung it open while making eye contact with him. "Oh," he says, and rushes off, avoiding eye contact with me. His wife again says, "I told you she worked here." I have no idea how it wasn't obvious I was an employee. Despite not wearing a zookeeper uniform, I still had a zoo name badge, a photo ID on my belt, a radio, a zoo-issued cash bag, and a big set of keys. The security officer was silent, watching the whole thing, and we had a good laugh about it. I hope Mr. Sodaman made a stop by the petting zoo later to relieve some stress. Man, why do people feel the need to just call out people they don't even know? You don't know what they're doing, and at the same time, why would you even care? Oh well, at least he got it shoved back in his face. Well, now we have a pretty fun question of the day, which is, What is the most extreme misuse of an everyday item you have ever witnessed? I caught a friend of mine rubbing one of the antibacterial hand wipes from KFC all over his friend's chicken. The little packet said, "a hint of lemon," on it, and he thought that he was meant to flavor the chicken with it. You know, I've said this before, but just because there are a lot of different kind of soaps that smell really good, it doesn't mean they taste good. Also, why would you put lemon on chicken? I don't really see the appeal of that flavor. Using a microwave to dry clothes. There were flames. Microwaves are so weird. It's like some things you can just cook and heat up and dry off, do whatever you need to it, and it goes just fine, while other things just tend to explode and catch on fire. So my mom's coworker used the plastic page protectors for office binders in the wrong way. The page protectors only have one opening on the top, as everyone knows, but she would always turn them upside down, and then use 1 billion paper clips on the bottom to prevent papers from falling out. Wow, 1 billion, that's a lot of paper clips. But like, imagine just having that much trouble with gravity. Imagine just like filling your cup up with a drink, and you feel like you have to hold it upside down, so you're always like trying to cup it and stop it from falling out. Like, that's pretty much the same concept as this. My roommates in college used laundry pods in the dishwasher for like a week. I hand washed my dishes, so it did not affect me. They only noticed because I asked why they always left their laundry pods on the kitchen counter. I mean, it's all soap, right? How much harm could it really do? My friend's kid decided to make a grilled cheese sandwich with an iron on the couch. Burned a nice iron-shaped hole in the couch. The kid was 15 at the time. Man, people just will take any household item that gets hot and use that to cook food. This was a story that a colleague told me that happened on the day I was off. Back in the day, I used to work for a hotel. Apparently, some Chinese guests came to reception to complain that a microwave wasn't working. We didn't have microwaves in the room, so when we came to inspect the problem, she found out that they were trying to microwave a pizza in the room's safe. Yeah, that's not really the best microwave. I could just imagine them putting things in the safe, like locking it, and then just like pushing the numbers, thinking they're like setting up the timer. I'm surprised they didn't just lock the pizza in the safe. My high school Spanish teacher would use her computer's desk tray as a shelf for her coffee mug. No, that is not a cup holder. Well, I mean, nowadays they kind of are, because who even uses discs for anything? I walked into my sister's room, and she had maxi pads laying everywhere with Barbies on top. She's like, "Look at all these Barbie sleeping bags I found." Hey, you know, some things have many purposes. Using a microwave to dry a smartphone. After running said smartphone under a tap water to clean it. This was 7 years ago, so I don't think the phone was waterproof. The person who did this was actually good academically, but had no common sense whatsoever. It baffled me. The microwave is not for drying off your smartphone, it's for charging it. I didn't witness this, but I read it in the newspaper article a few years ago. It was this article about life hacks and such, and basically what happened was, there was this hack going around about how, if you put your toaster on its side, slide in 2 slices of bread with cheese on top and toast them, you get toast and grilled cheese all at once. Apparently this lady tried it, and the melting cheese set her toaster on fire. The whole thing went up and nearly burned her entire house down. Hey, I've actually done that grilled cheese trick with the sideways toaster. The problem you might run into quite a bit though, is that all the burners are on the side, so when you tip it on the side, all of the crumbs fall onto the burner, so like, it almost always makes the toaster start to smoke, so yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend it. We weren't allowed hot plates or microwaves in the college dorms. So one of the girls on my floor cooked bacon with a hair straightener. Like I said, anything you can find that will heat up, just use that to cook food. And hey, maybe if she uses the hair straightener right afterwards, she can have shinier hair. When I was a kid, my mother used a pasta spoon to clean the cat litter box. I thought this was normal because it was the only way I'd ever seen it used. Then, years after our cat died, I was eating dinner at a friend's house when the mom grabbed the same kind of utensil to serve spaghetti. I freaked out and shouted, "Why are you serving food with a poop scoop?" They were so confused and asked why I couldn't eat my dinner because I was so disturbed. Yeah, I guess I've never really thought about using a pasta spoon for that. Now I'm trying to think of other ways you could use the poop scooper. Well, I think that brings us to the end now. For those of you who missed yesterday's video, what I probably plan to do is just have regular funny stories Monday through Friday, then maybe like a scary story on Saturday night, and then try live streaming on Sunday for anyone who wants to come hang out and talk. And yeah, thanks to everybody who's been watching, and I will let Faye finish off this video.